everyone, Auntie Tambarambaa, also known as Tammy Porter. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel today. Today I'm going to take you through my first creation for 2025, which is using all the Art by Marlene products. I'll take you through what I used. I've also listed these in the description. So I've used the Bullet A5 journal. I've used the markers. I've used a couple of paint brushes. I use paints in Lace, Pitch, Happy, Hot Curry, and Ballet, Hot Pink, Funky, and Neon, which are two of the, Funky and Punk, which are two of the neons. Okay, so this is my title page that I've done in my new journal for 2025. So Happy New Year, everybody. But what I use this journal for, this is my personal journal. So it's got a little bit of everything. It's got what's happening around here. It's got what the kids are up to. Might be what I'm reading. I might sample new products in it. I might process some feelings. There's all sorts of stuff in there. But it's just that bit more personal. I guess because I create a lot of videos, I don't always get super personal on them. So this is just, I felt like it was something last year that was missing from my creations. And when I used to do Project Life and things like that, I really got to explore this stuff. So this is my way of doing it. A lot of these pages I haven't shared yet. I must do that at some point. But anyway, what I thought I would do for this one is I've done the title page, but I thought I would document my one little word, which I always do each year, which is been started by Ali Edwards, so you can look that up. I'll try and remember to put the link in the description as well. But basically, instead of setting resolutions, I choose a year each year to focus on, just to think about throughout the year. And this year I have chosen Bloom. I will explain some of my thought processes around that a little bit later in the video, but what I have done is I've opened my journal and I've opened a couple of pages forward because I've decided to do a big flower in the center of my page, and I'm going to cut around this so it's sort of like a little almost like a little lift the flap inside my journal. So it's just a bit of fun. It's a great technique to do. I've done it with rainbows and hearts, and so I thought, well, I've got to do a big flower to signify bloom. So I basically just began and drew out a flower just with a pencil, and I haven't done any cutting yet. So just make sure you go a couple of pages ahead so that you've got room. You're not cutting into your title page is what I mean. So you've got a backdrop to this flower. So I've used the colours that I love in sort of warm colours, in the happy, the orange, the ballet. But I basically sketched out a flower, and I just made sure that the top petal and the bottom petal kind of were in the centre, so that I wasn't cutting into my spine, so that this doesn't actually fall out of my book or destroy my book. I hope that makes sense to what I'm trying to say. So I basically drew a really big flower. I decided to paint it first and then cut into it, just because I wasn't sure how it would look and how much I needed to trim off. And also it's actually a lot harder to paint the petals once they're cut than it is once the page is completely flat. So I basically just used yellow, oranges and pinks, and came in and sort of just wanted it to look very painterly and very arty. And I guess, although bloom is my word, colour has a lot to do with something else I focus on through the year. So I needed this flower to be quite colourful. So now this bit is excruciating to watch, but I'm not great at cutting, but I'm attempting to cut the flower here. Now, it was quite large to begin with. Part of me kind of wishes I kept it that way, but I didn't actually like how the blooms were cut off at the top and the bottom, how they didn't seem to be completely whole. So I decided to thin them out just so that you had more of that illusion of a complete flower. And so with doing that, I end up using, instead of trying to struggle with the scissors, I use a Stanley knife, a little scalpel, and just trim slightly around the edges and narrow them in a bit so that I can just round the top and the bottom off And then I needed to do that to all of them so that the petals looked sort of even. We all know a flower is not perfect, but yes, I seem to just make this bit go on and on forever. I also added black paint to the centre of my flower, and I'll probably add some dots, I think, is what I end up deciding to do. So now I'm just sort of neatening off those rounded edges, and I think you can see here that it gives a more complete flower. And something I thought of after doing this is that I could have actually just done half the page and then folded it together and cut the 2 pages at once, and it would have been a perfectly centered flower. But you know, sometimes I like to do things the hard way, and also, you know, it doesn't matter, flowers aren't perfect, and this is just my personal book, so I'm not real fussed about it. You learn all the time, don't you? So I came in with some markers on top of my paint. So I added some white just to help pop it a little bit. And then I'm adding some white dots to the centre of the flower. So I really love the contrast of black and white. And then what I'm doing is, because I've created this sort of 3D flower, I've got the 2 background pages behind it. Now I didn't gesso any of my pages. I went straight in with acrylic paint. But for this part, I'm just using markers, and I'm just writing bloom over and over and over and over in the background. So it kind of looks a bit like a page with graffiti, I guess, in the background, and lots of different colours, quite therapeutic. And I guess while I was writing bloom over and over, I was thinking about what I want to get out of this word and where I think right now this word will take me. And I guess I've been thinking about how flowers bloom and how I want to bloom and be the best version of myself that I can be this year. But recognising that I need certain things to do that. So like flowers need water, shade, sun, light, and they need big periods of rest where they're sort of germinating seed and growing their roots and all those kind of things. So I often sort of jump into everything and end up wearing myself out, forgetting to prioritise some rest time for me and feeling like I have to fill all the spaces up. And I guess that was important to me. And also the word space comes up a bit for me, because I feel like I've been raised with that whole notion of don't take up too much space, you know, don't be too loud, don't, you know, that we're just a bit too much and all of that stuff. So I guess this is all about, what do I need to be my best self so that I can bloom? And how can I help others to bloom as well? That's part of it. And I guess, yeah, just allowing myself to have that bit of space, and recognising perhaps that some people occasionally might be weeds in my garden, and just there's a lot of things to do with the garden. I also want to get outside a bit more. I love nature, I love walking, all of the things. And of course, flowers are really colourful. So it just felt like a really good fit for me. So that's kind of some of my thought process around this word, which I will now document all through on the backs of the flowers. So I'm just documenting where it's at for me right now, what I'm thinking about. Some of those things I just mentioned. There's probably other things I haven't mentioned, but I'm just writing on the back of each petal. I think the other thing I did was with a pen, I just went around each petal and around the centre as well, just to give it that sort of loose, arty feel that is really good at hiding imperfections. And yeah, it's just gives a nice finish to your page. So this is quite a therapeutic page. Obviously I'm thinking about the year ahead. And I'd love to know, for you, those of you out there who regularly pop into my channel, or if you're new to my channel, I'd love to know what your word is. If you've followed the Ali Edwards one little word over the years, and it is a really nice way to enter the year, because it doesn't put too much expectation on yourself. It allows you to sort of explore and see where it takes you, rather than set goals and feel like you're not measuring up to them. So I've had some amazing words. I've had wild, was probably my favourite, brave, what else have I had? Light, sea, I think last year was a line. So yeah, there's some magical words. Words are really important to me. Obviously, I work at a library and I read a lot of books, and it just is a way of merging all my favourite things together. So if you do a word, or if you start thinking about a word, if you want to share it, I'd love you to share it with me. I'm always interested in what you guys are all up to. Always interested in who's watching, and I know I've got a real connection with quite a few of you. So you're all so positive, and I really appreciate you. So as we move into 2025, I'd love to hear a little bit from you about what your plans are for this year, and yeah, if you do a word, and if not, maybe just something about yourself would be great, if you're willing to do that. So now, just to finish off the page, because I've done all my journaling, is I've grabbed a bit of the funky, which is the hot pink, and I've done some splatters with some water onto the background, and I do the same with the black, just splattering it around the place. And it just gives a bit of, it goes with that sort of graffiti look background, and it just gives a bit of artsiness to that, to the page, and I think finishes it off. So I do that to both sides. Try and dry in between, or go and hang washing out, or do something in between, because it does take a little while for your splats to dry. And if you turn the page, you'll be kicking yourself if you get impatient like I do. So that is it from me today. So Happy New Year. Thanks so much for joining me again for a whole new year. I look forward to a year of colour and playing and having fun with you. And of course, I'd love you to subscribe and leave comments, and that certainly helps other people find me. So thanks for being here, and let's have a blooming great year together. See you soon. Bye.